I'm just curious. So, is this wrong to look for some kind of a spirituality while you practice Zen, or because Western people sometimes they equate religion as a Christianity, maybe Jesus Christ, and be with the gods and all this. So I feel like a Zen is a different creature. But maybe I'm wrong. Please tell us.
Yeah, it is different. And a lot of times people don't even call it a religion. A lot of people don't call it Buddhism. They call it a philosophy. So everyone has a different view. And I think it's all of that. It could not be a religion. It could be a spirituality. It could be a philosophy. I think it depends on how you're using it in your life and how you embraced it. And I think that's why there's so many various ideas about it. But to me, um, it's it has a deep and I'm writing about that right now, a deep, I think all religions do, or spiritualities do have a deep shamanistic root to them. But that has been cut off and severed from the practice so that it could fit into modern life, modern society, especially into the Western world. And so a lot of what the path was is no longer. So then when we go in, like if you're on a shamanic path, the person who comes in to be a shaman doesn't go, okay, when does this end and what am I going to get out of this? They they just go into the past because they know this is going to be the way they're going to live, for the rest of their life. Or say like a hermit, people who take on becoming a hermit. I think that's a great example of how many people embodied Zen in the early days. And so um, to try to get something out of it, to gain is very difficult. And that's not to say you don't get something, but to go in with that mindset of trying to get something out of Zen, you end up empty-handed. And there's a quote that says, "Zen is good for nothing." And when I first heard that, and I was like, I'm not really good at names and quotes and books, just off the top of my head. But Zen is good for nothing. Um, it's a quote that's often said in Zen practice, and then people were like, well, what am I doing here then? If it's good for nothing. And so when you practice, eventually over time, which I practice with those words, Zen is good for nothing, it has nothing, the nothing part has nothing to do with things outside of you. Zen is good for nothing. It gets you to nothing. It gets you to nothingness. It gets you to vastness in your life so that you can experience peace. Like I said, your life is more like the ocean, more vast, like a meadow or a field, there's some kind of illumination in an open field as opposed to a field that's full of all of our concepts and our projections, our perceptions, and all these kinds of things, which we come in with. We need those to know those things and be aware of them. And that's what mindfulness gives you, an awareness of those perceptions and projections and conceptions and all of those things, so that when you're aware of it, oh, I'm in that state of conceptualizing, which I'm doing now in order to communicate with you. There is some conceptualization going on because we're human beings and we're embodied. And so hopefully in the conceptualization, I can stimulate some kind of curiosity and or inquiry with you about your life so that you can maybe begin to sit, and then everything I say goes away and it becomes what you experience, along the way, which is like, we're not here to just um, talk about what Buddha said. I think Buddha would be very disappointed. He came back and saw that that's all we were doing was mimicking him. I think his point was, um, is to turn our own light inward, to see life from our own hearts. and then from there be able to coexist as people together, as you know, living period on this planet. So you can make it a spirituality, you can make it a religion, you can make it a path. Even some people say it's the pathless path, because it is. There really you don't real there isn't okay. Roll out that path for me so I can walk it. It's not going to happen. So what happens is just like life. You take a step, but you don't really know where you're stepping, and then you take another step, but you don't know where you're stepping. And so that's what Zen mimics is life. It does mimic that life where you really don't know, and the unknown and the discovery in the unknown is just profound to me. When I'm able to open up to that kind of an experience, which keeps me not trapped in whether it's a religion, a philosophy, or spirituality. That it doesn't matter to me, you know. And I think I would probably couch it more in religion because of the way we look at religion, and not because it's organized, because everything is organized, even if it's a indigenous practice, is organized. So, you know, I guess uh, that you're following a teaching makes it religious, like Jesus Christ. So you're following a person's teachings. But the Buddha espoused that you would go beyond that. Like, um, like we really aren't trying to be Buddhist because you can't be. Now, maybe you can be Christian. I don't know, but you can't be really Buddhist because that's not exactly what I when I studied the teachings and walked the teaching, I think it was just an invitation to walk into the open field, the open forest, the everything, the vastness of life, and the invitation is to come on out to that. Ordination just puts you out there further. It really drops you out there, and so I think that the Buddhist experience and being in the woods is exactly what he was trying to bring to us in his teachings. So we didn't, necessarily have to go sit in the woods for many days and many nights and starve ourselves to death or whatever. So I think that yeah, we're not really becoming anything, in this practice. That can be mind-boggling because that's just so opposite from what we're taught, when we're little. Go out and become somebody. And then you go out and you do this, and people are like, wait a minute, you didn't become somebody. I had a friend tell me that.